What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, live once again for another week of NFL picks. Straight up and versus the spread. Every Wednesday night, we go live here on the BLV, and you can join us as I talk through the games, talk through my thoughts, analyze each matchup on both sides of the football, and give you my official picks versus the spread, and of course, picking the winner of every game. Before we get started, guys, don't forget to spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And once you're subscribed, spike that notification bell for the latest upload here on the channel to be notified with the latest content, including, which I'm sure a lot of you guys didn't see because I see the numbers so far, my Mike Vrabel video essay, which is the latest video essay I've made. I've made a lot of ones that have done well. Christian Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, the Brady haters. Some of my best videos, Kyle Shanahan, Rise of Shanahan, some of my favorite videos that I've ever made, some of the best videos I've ever made, some of the most viewed videos I've ever made were video essays. That video is one that I think is very good, right up there with the best that I've ever made personally. And I would check it out. I put the link in the description. I put it at the pinned comment section in the live comment. I'll also put it down below if you missed it, if you didn't get notified because I posted at a weird time. Check it out, guys. Even if you want to leave a like or let me know a comment on how you feel about Mike Vrabel as a coach and where you would rank him. That's the question I'm asking, where you would rank him among NFL coaches. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Shout out to all the live viewers that join me every single week. Shout out to the YouTube members, man, that are holding it down on the live streams all the time, including Jake, including Big Al, including shout out to Harley, shout out to Becca, shout out to Ultra, shout out to everybody that supports the channel. Let's get to the picks. Before I get to the picks, obviously, we got to update that record, right? You got to see how I'm doing. So you can rather join and say I'm amazing or say I suck. So let's look at the picks. So last week, we went 11-3-1 straight up on picks, which I would say is pretty spectacular. I don't know. I think that's pretty good. 11-3-1. I don't know how everyone else did because I know a lot of favorites won outright last week. So it was one of the easier weeks from a straight up perspective. Versus the spread, 8-7, not the easiest week versus the spread. There were some games that felt like maybe they could have covered, maybe they couldn't. It went down to the wire, like the New York Jets as an example. But I went 8-7, still above 500, so another above 500 week versus the spread. And in terms of the record and how I've now formatted it, I do want to update you on that in case you're paying close attention. I know there's some sticklers out there that like to check every week, but just so I'm not lying, what I did with the straight up and the overall spread records is I kind of just decided to, for the spread, I decided to kind of like take out those World Cup draws, and I decided to just keep it flat and basic and just get rid of whenever there was a draw. So basically, whenever I landed on a number, I just got rid of it. So it's not included in the record any longer. Obviously, there's been 2 ties in the NFL this year, which is indicated on the straight up record. And so far, I know I'm doing pretty well because I like to compare myself against the other experts across the board. I know Big Al's killing it this year. I know Ultra's killing it in the BLV Pick'em. I think they have even better records than I do. But right now, I think we're ahead of all the ESPN experts. I know I'm killing the CBS experts on the spread. So, hey, man, I guess, I would be embarrassed if I had some of those guys' records. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't know how they call it their job to pick these games. Maybe they just do it for fun. I do it for fun too, but I like to be right, okay? Some of these guys' records out there, they call themselves experts, bro. Pathetic. Anyways, spike the like button. Let's get going. And a quick shout out to Shegotsports, Lauren at Shegotsports. She had me on this week for my picks. We're going head to head picks, straight up versus the spread. pick for pick. So I left that link in the description as well if you want to check out that full video, which is about 30 minutes, I want to say, maybe less, like 20 to 30 minutes, where I went on there and talked about the games this week as well. If you want extra BLV content and you want to check out her channel, she has a great channel. She has a lot of content just like I do. So check that out in the description. Okay, now that I'm done plugging everything, let's get to it with Thursday Night Football. We got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Los Angeles, not Chargers, Rams. The Raiders beat the Chargers last week in impressive fashion, dominating them on the ground. Their defense actually showed up in a game, pressuring the Chargers. Chandler Jones had perhaps his best game as a Raider with, I think, 3 sacks in the game. And what I liked from the Raiders was not the offense, which we knew was going to come through with Josh Jacobs running wild like Hulkamania. It was the blitzing, the aggression, the getting after Justin Herbert in that game to force more stops for the Raider defense. That has just, in my opinion, been a little too four-man rush centric, a little too passive, a little too coverage oriented. The Raiders, they shifted some things on defense and they became more aggressive, and they rose that percentage of blitzing just a little bit, just a tick. So, the Los Angeles Rams, it's kind of difficult to know what they're going to be week to week. We don't really know who their quarterback is. John Wolford, or is it Bryce Perkins, or is it Baker Mayfield, or is it Kurt Warner, or is it Mark Bulger, or who is it exactly? Trent Green? I don't know. But we have the Raiders in this game. I'm taking the Raiders -6. I'm also taking the Raiders to win. I think the Raiders need this game. This is an important game. I think the stadium, the location helps them because there's going to be more Raiders fans there than there are Rams fans. Rams fans are very, very, very casual in LA. Raiders fans are very, very diehard in LA. Derek Carr is the much better quarterback here. I think Josh McDaniels does a good job of putting together a game plan to move the football not only on the ground, but through the air. And I think the Raiders score 24, 27 points on Thursday night. I just don't see the Rams being able to get close enough. I think the Raiders defense can rush the passer here. Max Crosby can get after it. Chandler Jones can put together another game. I like the way Jerry Tillery played against the Chargers last week, and having Nate Hobbs in there does help this secondary. I think the Raiders defense is getting a little bit better, and I think they play well here, especially up front. The Rams have a weak offensive line, and they don't really have a good running game either. I think the Raiders win in semi-convincing fashion. I think they win by about 10-ish, somewhere maybe like 8 to 10, somewhere in that range. I think they win. I think they cover the spread. I'm not going to bet it. I don't usually bet Thursday games, just so you guys know. But I do have the Raiders here in this game. Next up, we've got the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday fun day. The Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of my favorite rivalries growing up, with Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed and Joe Flacco and Big Ben and all the boys. A great defensive battle every single time, and this will be no different, as Tyler Huntley will be the starting quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens in this game. Kenny Pickett will be the rookie starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is not going to be a quarterback showdown. This is going to be a game of defense, a game of running the ball, a game of special teams, field position, kicking. And when analyzing all of that, this spread does confuse me a tad bit. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction to the public perception of Lamar Jackson getting injured. I think Tyler Huntley's ability to scramble and create yards running the football. I think Mark Andrews' ability in this game and his rapport with Tyler Huntley, which was very strong last year. I think people generally underrate Tyler Huntley as a quarterback. I think he can move the ball. Ronnie Stanley is back at practice. That should help protect the quarterback. Ronnie Stanley, one of the best left tackles when he is in the lineup. That should help protect from TJ Watt on the perimeter, on the outside, rushing the passer. And the defense of the Ravens has been getting better. I like the way that they've been defending the run. I don't think the Steelers will have much in the running game. I also don't think that the Steelers will do that much through passing the football either, with a strong secondary in Baltimore, good corners, good safeties, Roquan in the middle. I think that there could be some rookie mistakes coming for Kenny Pickett. Would I be shocked if the Steelers won? No, they're at home. This is a really, really familiar divisional game. But I think the Ravens, this game means more to them. They've got to keep track. They've got to keep pace in the playoff race. And I just think generally, as an underdog, in a low-scoring 37-point total here of over-under, which is very low, I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take the rushing quarterback. I'm going to take the great kicker who can hit from 65. And I am going to take the Ravens to win this game outright and against the spread. Okay, next, we've got the Cleveland Brownies at the Cincinnati Bengals. This will be featured in my best bets, which will come out later tonight, by the way, guys. So if you're watching this tomorrow on Thursday, just so you know, it is out. Also, if you're watching this earlier, maybe you're watching this live, just so you know, the best bets will be out later tonight, Wednesday night, probably in a couple hours, just so I can separate it for YouTube to not absolutely kill one of my videos again. But we've got the Browns and the Bengals. The Bengals are favored by 6 here. I think this is an overreaction based on the Bengals beating the Chiefs, which I said would happen. Okay, I think the Browns are going to keep this one close. The Browns play the Bengals really, really well. They've beaten the Bengals in every single game Joe Burrow has played against the Browns. Okay, Joe Burrow has never beaten the Browns. The Browns. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, so the public, right? Everybody, and I don't blame you guys. Okay. Everybody's going to want to bet on the Bengals. Everybody's putting them in the top 3 in their power rankings. Everybody is saying that they're the best team in the world. They beat the Chiefs, the almighty Chiefs, the kingdom. They beat Mahomes. And ESPN's talking about him. Everybody's talking about Joe Burrow being Joe Cool. Colin Cowherd has him on the show with Joe Montana. He's reading his press clippings. You got the Browns, meanwhile, who everybody hates. They have the biggest douche of a quarterback that you've ever seen. And therefore, Vegas is going to put this lineup of 6, which is just outrageous. It's too high. Okay? So I'm going to take 6 points with the Browns. But I will take the Bengals to win the game because I do think eventually Joe Burrow needs to beat the Browns. And this game is in Cincinnati. I think that they find a way late to win this game. I could easily see the Bengals come out slow in this game and have a comeback late and pull it off late in the game. But the Browns' ability to run the ball, the Browns' weird ability defensively to always play Joe Burrow in this offensive scheme tough, I think keeps the game close. And maybe Deshaun Watson's a little bit better after a week of rust against the Texans. And that just really tough spot for him emotionally. I think he settles down, and I think he plays better in this game than he did against the Texans. So I will take the +6 with the Brownies, and I will take the Bengals to win the game. Next up, we've got the Texans getting 16.5 at Dallas. Dallas favored by 16.5. This is insane. This is a crazy number. So just based on principle, I am going to take 16.5 points with the Texans. I have to feel like Dallas is going to eventually slip up just a little and allow like a backdoor cover or allow something to happen, right? Where they don't cover a big spread like they did against the Colts, but the Colts played them really, really well for like 3 quarters and 3.5 quarters almost. That game was really competitive. Then they started turning the ball over. The Texans against the Browns were playing them competitively on offense and defense, but didn't play them competitively on special teams or in the turnover department, which caused the Browns to cover that game. So I'm going to take the points with the Texans, but clearly I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys because they're the much better team. They are one of my top 3 teams in the NFL. They've got one of the best defenses with one of the best pass rushes. They can run the football. They can throw the football. I wonder how much Dak is being masked a little within the offense. I do think there are susceptibilities to Dallas's passing game that have not really come to the forefront quite yet, but their ability to run the ball against a team like Houston that struggles to stop the run will allow them to get the lead and to finish this game easily with the lead. I think Dallas wins the game, but I think the Texans find a way to cover in the backdoor fashion. So I've got the 16.5 with the Texans. Just too many points. Next, the Jacksonville Jags at the Tennessee Titans. This one is really tough spread-wise because it's unknown what Trevor Lawrence is going to do or what he's going to, if he's going to play, period, right? So we don't really know what's going on with him. Jacksonville has really struggled away from home. They're really bad away. We saw that last week against Detroit. They got absolutely decimated, destroyed, and devastated by Sports Today's Detroit Lions, so it was not a good look. This game, though, it's tough because I don't like the way the Titans are playing. Like, I like Mike Vrabel a ton. You guys know this. I made a video about him. Again, cheap plug. Check it out. Link in the description. Defensively, I still think they've got a very good front seven, but their secondary is definitely lacking. They've got a lot of injuries. They're not playing good on the outside. They're not playing the aggressive press man coverage they want to play. Run game has not been good for Derrick Henry. They've not been able to get him going. It's like he's running through quicksand. And Ryan Tannehill is not getting pass protection. I mean, the Eagles just destroyed that offensive line last week. So there's a lot of errors, a lot of issues that I have with the Tennessee Titans. I just think they're not playing very well. But at the same time, I don't trust Jacksonville whatsoever, especially if Trevor Lawrence is injured in any capacity, even if he plays. Their offensive line isn't very good. I think Tennessee could take advantage of that. I think Tennessee can run the ball against Jacksonville a little. And I think that the third down defense, the pass defense in general of Jacksonville is not very good. So I think Tannehill can have more success against this team than he has against the teams he's been facing. You know, you got to put it into perspective that we've seen the Titans play the top of the top dogs of the top dogs. We've seen them play the Bengals. We've seen them play the Eagles, back to back. And it's been tough games. But I think this is more of like a get-right spot for Tennessee. I trust Vrabel here in this spot after they fired their GM to get it right. And I think the Titans win the game. I will take them to cover. I'm hesitant about this. I will take them to cover, but it's more of a thing of I just don't trust Jacksonville. Like, Jacksonville could be in this game, but Jacksonville could turn the ball over too many times. They could go for it when they shouldn't. They won't kick the field goal. Like, there's too many things about Jacksonville that just don't make me feel confident. So I'm going to take Tennessee to win, Tennessee to cover, but I don't feel confident about the spread. I do feel fairly confident about them winning, though. Next, we've got the Minnesota Vikings at the Detroit Lions, which is one of the marquee games of the week and one of the lines this season that everybody, especially those that don't follow Vegas spreads, are going to be extremely shocked to see Detroit being favored at home, -2.5 versus a team that only has, I think, 2 losses in the Minnesota Vikings. Just a shocking line overall, just completely shocking here. Like, even I was like, I understand I'm not a huge fan of the Vikings, but them being underdogs to the Detroit freaking Lions is like something else. And I don't know how the Lions are going to like receive that information. I don't know if that's going to make its way into the locker room. It must, right? How are they going to receive that? Are they going to receive that with confidence? Are they going to receive that with fat and happiness? How are they going to receive that? That's the interesting question. How's Minnesota going to receive that? A little bit angry, a little bit with edge? Because that's definitely going to make it onto the bulletin board. But with all that being said, I'm going to take Detroit. And the reason I'm taking Detroit here, and I hate to continue to fade Minnesota because now it's made Minnesota fans think I hate the Vikings, which is not the case. I don't hate the Vikings. I like the Vikings. I picked them to win the division, go to the playoffs this year. I picked them to do great things this year, and they're on pace to do that. I like Justin Jefferson. I like the team. I've always liked Dalvin Cook. One of my friends is a Vikings fan. I have no problem. I love Randy Moss. No problems about the Vikings here. I like the Lions. There's no question about that, but I like the Lions because let's just think about it logically, all right? We've got the Lions who lost the first game, and without a shadow of a doubt, that was all on Dan Campbell's idiocy in the game clock management just being an absolute disaster. So as long as he doesn't just totally screw it up in the management of this game, the Lions can win this game. Look, the Lions offense can run the ball. The Lions offense can throw the ball. The Lions are going to be facing a defense that I think is super, super soft, super, super overrated. They made Matt Patricia look like Bill Walsh in his prime. I mean, play action's going to be available for Jared Goff. He's going to be able to check the runners at first and third all day long. He's going to have all the time in the world. There's zone coverage for him to pick apart. Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to catch 15 passes. I just don't trust the Vikings defense. It sucks, okay? They're going to play bend but don't break. They're going to let them get to the red zone. The problem with that is the Lions have a very good offensive line, and the Lions can run the ball inside that 10-yard line. Unlike teams like the Jets or the Patriots really can. I think the Lions have that next level ability. Defensively, I think this is where it makes me confident in picking the Lions. Their defense has played a lot better as of late, especially against the run. I think if you can keep the Vikings a little bit more one-dimensional and take that play action away from this offense and make them a drop-back passing team, they're not nearly the same team as they are when they have all that available to them. I think the Lions can stop Dalvin Cook and the running game pretty effectively here. I am worried about Justin Jefferson. Like, he's probably going to have 170 yards, but I think this game is more leaning towards shootout than anything else. Like, I think the Lions are going to play a little bit man coverage in this game, where Cousins does struggle a little bit more against man than he does zone. And I think the Lions pass rush has played pretty well lately. So I'm going to take the Lions. I just think they're going to even up the season series. It's really not more complicated than that. So I'm going to take the home team, the Lions, -2.5 to win this game. I do like the Vikings in a teaser, though. I would say that. If you're going to look to tease teams, I like the Ravens. I like the Vikings in that teaser this week. I do think the Vikings make this a one-score game, but I think the Lions win this game and make it interesting for the playoffs coming up. All right. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles at the New York G-Men. I got the Philadelphia Eagles to win, but not so fast. I'm going to take the New York Giants. Yes, the New York G-Men, Big Al, to cover the spread. This is one that I've changed my mind on. I like the Giants with the points, right? This is a division dog getting 7 points at home. The New York Giants tied last week. I thought they looked a lot better last week. I thought they looked better on offense, better on defense. They've got their players back, a lot of their players back that were hurt. And I think that makes a big difference. You know, when they were playing teams like Seattle and teams like Detroit, they were decimated by injuries. The Dallas decimated by injuries. If you look at their schedule this year, the Giants have only lost 2 games by more than a one-score game. They've only played in 2 games. I should say that correctly. They've only played in 2 games that were not decided by 1 score. Okay, so this is a team that likes to play close games. Brian Daboll has been a master of managing these games, and I think they keep it close to the fourth quarter. I also like the way that Wink Martindale can play against mobile quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts. How they played against Lamar earlier this year is indicative of that. Because he has experience in Baltimore facing that every day in practice, I think that comes in handy facing a team like the Eagles. Their ability to blitz, I think, is something that Jalen Hurts, when he has struggled with that. And Martindale loves to blitz. So there will be big plays for the Eagles, but I think there also will be stops for the Giants. And then on top of that, I think Brian Daboll can put together a good game plan to move the ball with Saquon and Daniel Jones. Again, I think I look back at that Tennessee game and I say, I think Tennessee's inability to run the ball as well as I thought they could, and then looking back at the recent history of Tennessee, they just haven't been able to run the ball. I think the Giants actually run the ball better than Tennessee. They've got the mobile quarterback. And I think they make that interesting, especially at home. I think that the Eagles, kind of like the Bengals, reading their clippings, reading their press clippings. I think they're getting all the headlines right now, and I think the Giants keep this one close. But I do think the Eagles find a way to win, probably on one of the final drives, kind of like that Colts game where Jalen Hurts, just made things happen in the fourth quarter and came out the winner. But I expect the Giants to keep this close to the fourth quarter. I'm taking the 7 points. Next up, We got the New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills. I'm scared on this one. I bet the Jets, like, before the week, I bet them on Saturday, which I released to Patreon at plus 10. And it's moved off of plus 10. I just thought that was an outrageous number for a team that is a good team, that is probably going to make the playoffs in the Jets, that has one of the best defenses in football, if not a top 3, unit in football. They beat the damn Bills earlier in the year. I thought that was outrageous. But I'm still a little scared because Buffalo, I just can't see them losing twice to the same team in one season. I find it hard to believe, especially with this talent and Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs at home. But that being said, I'm taking the Bills to win. I'm taking the points. 9.5 for this defense in New York is just too many points. The Jets defense has the formula to make life difficult on Josh Allen, and New England's defense is one that has struggled against Josh Allen. I think Buffalo looks a lot better against New England than they actually are because I don't know what it is. It's just a bad matchup for the Patriots. And I thought the Patriots defense actually survived in that game and didn't play that badly. The Jets defense, though, I think their athleticism is a big key. Their secondary, I think they've got good corners on the outside. And they've got a really strong front four. I don't think Buffalo will be able to run the ball. I think that keeps the Bills to be one-dimensional and Josh Allen to be one-dimensional. So it's going to be a lot of Josh Allen throwing. I think eventually with the offensive line injuries, Deion Dawkins, a couple injuries they got up front and a couple guys banged up, I think that's real troublesome. We saw Josh Uche have like a career day last week. I think that could definitely happen for one of these New York Jets up front as well, and they could get a couple sacks. I think they sacked them 5 times in the first matchup. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets created some pressure on Josh Allen in this game. That being said, I expect him to still come through with enough plays to win. On the other side of the ball, the first game they played, Zach Wilson was the quarterback. This time it's Mike White. I think that is an upgrade for the Jets. The Jets have been able to run the ball on Buffalo in the first matchup. That was without Matt Milano. He's back on the injury report after getting banged up against New England. That's a big key for me. If Matt Milano plays, I probably wouldn't bet this because their run defense and their defense as a whole is that much better. But if Matt Milano's out, I'd really think about taking the points with the Jets to actually bet the game. But I like the Bills to win. I liked how they played last week. I like how they spread the ball around. I like how Josh Allen played mistake-free, which I think is going to be the difference between this game and the first matchup, which is I think Josh is just not going to turn the ball over the way that he did in the first game. I think they would have won that game if he didn't turn the ball over, and that luck of turnovers will not be on the Jets' side in this game, which will allow the Bills to win a close game. So I've got Buffalo to win by about a touchdown, something like 24-17, but I'm going to take the points with the Jets. Okay, next game is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Denver Broncos. Chiefs are favored by 9.5. This is another game that I released early to patrons with the Chiefs minus 7.5. This line has ballooned, inflated dramatically to 9.5, and my logic based is basically on the point of I just don't think anybody wants to bet on the Broncos. I think Vegas has kind of figured out that nobody in their right mind, sober, actually wants to bet money on the Denver Broncos. So I think they're just going to continue to put lines up that are outrageous. And don't get me wrong, the Chiefs are a lot better than the Broncos. But this Broncos defense, man, is legit. They're very good. They can stop the pass at a very high level. They're elite in that regard. And that's what you got to do when you play the Chiefs. The question is going to come down to whether the Chiefs can cover or not. It's going to come down to the offense of the Broncos. How many plays can Russell Wilson make? Can he play mistake-free? Can he make some throws in this game down the field against man coverage while being blitzed? Because Spagnuolo is going to bring it. Can Cortland Sutton make a couple plays? Can these receivers make a couple plays? This one's tough. I think this goes either way for a spread. I'm not going to bet this game at 9.5. I liked it at 7.5 because I could see the Chiefs winning by 8, But, I mean, like, 9.5 now is tricky, but I'm still going to go with the Chiefs both ways just because of the bounce back factor, so to speak. Just like they should be a little angry here. Like, they should play with a little passion here. They should play with a little vigor here. They should play with their hairs on fire. I feel like Pacheco can balance the Chiefs out here well enough in the run game so that the Chiefs don't have to completely rely on the pass game to move the ball. Because I think if they're one-dimensional in this game, I feel like that is going to allow this game to be closer because the Broncos are that good against the pass. But when it comes to just playing balance, I think the Chiefs, this game's going to be close for I think 3 quarters, and then the Chiefs are going to pull away later in the game. That's kind of what I think is going to happen. So don't be surprised if the game's close at halftime, but I could see the Broncos pulling away. The Chiefs pulling away late. So I've got the Chiefs winning and the Chiefs covering ultimately, but I'm not super confident about the spread. Chiefs have not been good against the spread. Next, Carolina Panthers at the Seattle Seahawks. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you do Gronk spike the like button. We have 46 people in here live right now and only 9 likes, which is outrageously low. Gronk spike the like button. Also, Gronk spike that notification bell if you haven't already. This is the next game, Texas Seahawks versus the Carolina Panthers. This is going to be an upset pick for me. I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers coming off the bye to win the game. I'm sorry, Tessa, I don't want to do this to you, but I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers. I like the way the Carolina Panthers have been playing as of late. I'm not saying the Seahawks can't win this game. They absolutely can. But looking at the Carolina Panthers, I think this spread was pretty high earlier in the week, and it's shot down. This game's in Seattle, obviously. Sam Darnold starting at quarterback, which does not make me very confident in Seattle, and that 12th man. Tessa's going to be screaming her head off, not even at the game, just in front of the television. But you look at the Panthers. I think the Panthers are super underrated right now. So since week 7, the Carolina Panthers beat the Bucs 21-3. Lost in overtime to Atlanta 37-34 on some BS because DJ Moore took his helmet off. Then they got killed by the Bengals. Then they beat the Falcons by 10, 25-15 on Thursday night. Then they won 13-3, or then they lost 13-3 to the Ravens, okay? The Ravens won a low-scoring defensive game, who's a playoff team with Lamar Jackson, and then they beat the Broncos by 13, okay? You look at Seattle lately, Seattle's defense has sucked lately, like they can't stop anything. John Wolford was having a field day. They were running the ball. They were throwing to Ben Skoranek and Tutu Atwell at will out there. So I think Carolina, I like the matchup because I think they can run the ball with Foreman and effectively get 4 yards a carry in this one. I think that opens up some easier passes for Sammy Darnold. And I think the defense of Carolina is still super underrated. I think they play really fast. I like Brian Burns, Derek Brown, Shaq Thompson. They've got a fast secondary. And I think they can slow down Geno Smith's attack in this game. So I like Carolina to go into Seattle and win the game outright. This is going to be an upset pick. But I like the points. I like the 3.5. I think the hook's valuable here. And like I said, the reason I'm picking Carolina is because I just don't have faith in Seattle's defense. And I think that allows Carolina to hang around. All right. The next game, our 11th game, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the San Francisco 49ers. This one's real interesting. We've got my favorite quarterback, my favorite player versus my favorite coach, Tom Brady, taking on Kyle Shanahan in a Tom Brady return home spot. He's returning to the Bay. He's returning to San Francisco. I'm sure Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Steve Young, one of those guys will be in attendance for this game. This is a big game. We've got Brock Purdy. Mr. Irrelevant has become relevant in this game. I don't think the Bucs need to win this game, Sing, as their division is absolutely pathetic, so they don't need to worry about winning the game. But I'm going to pick them to win the game. I am. The reason I'm picking the Bucs here, and I'm picking them plus 3.5, is because I think with Brock Purdy in there, I think Purdy's going to make some mistakes. And at the end of the game, I think Tom Brady is going to come out in San Francisco, in his hometown, and lead a game-winning drive for the win. Okay? I think the Bucs defense, I suppose, will get a bit healthier in the secondary. Antoine Winfield Jr., Sean Murphy-Bunting, Mike Edwards getting closer to returning. I think their defense is really good, and it doesn't get enough credit because the team hasn't been that good, but they've kept them in a lot of games, and they've played well in most games this year. I think they'll stop the run of the Niners. They're very good against the run, and I think with Akeem Mixon and Vita Vea in there, they can expose the potential weakness of the Niners' interior offensive line protecting the young quarterback, Brock Purdy. I think they can push the pocket, get in the face of Purdy, make some of these completions tough, and I think Todd Bowles is going to blitz the crap out of this young quarterback and force him to make throws down the field that he might be uncomfortable doing in his first start of his NFL career. So I'm taking the GOAT versus the Mr. Irrelevant in this matchup, especially plus the points, plus the 3.5. On the other side of the ball, I don't expect this to be a shootout. I don't expect the Bucs to go up and down the field against the best defense in football, which is the Niners in my opinion. But I do expect the Bucs to spread the Niners out and to look to get rid of the ball quickly to help protect Tom in this matchup. And where the Bucs do have some mismatch opportunities is with their wide receivers versus the Niners corners that I don't think are all that great. I think that's the weakness of this defense, if you have to name one, is those corners in coverage. And I think Brady will be able to get rid of that ball. This is going to be a 40-50 attempt game for Tom Brady. But I think that's the way it's going to have to go if they're going to win the game. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball that well. So I think this game is going to be really, really entertaining if you like low-scoring, grinded-out games. But it's going to be really boring if all you like is points. Okay, so I like the Bucs here. I do. I'm gonna take them here. It's not going to be one of my best bets, but I do like the Bucs. Next, the Miami Dolphins at the Los Angeles Chargers. The Dolphins are currently laying 3 on the road after getting embarrassed by Brock Purdy. The Dolphins defense had no answers for Brock Purdy and McCaffrey and company. If this gets to 3.5, I will be betting the Chargers. There's no doubt about it. I love Herbert in this spot as a dog at home. His ability to keep games close is superb. And I actually heard a stat today that he's 18-0 with teasers as a dog, which is pretty impressive. So you might want to tease the Chargers in this game. But the Chargers, I think, are going to take advantage of the Dolphins. Tua, injured, not practicing. Jalen Waddle, injured. Teron Armstead, injured. And I think Justin Herbert's going to have a big game. I think he's going to throw for 300-plus yards, 3 touchdowns. I think Mike Williams comes back to the lineup. I think they put up a 30-burger in the game. And I think the Chargers win kind of a shootout, 30-24, 30-27. I think the Chargers defense isn't good, don't get me wrong, but I do think their strength is in coverage, in pass coverage, and they've got a pretty good secondary. I think they can handle the quick RPO game. I worry about their run defense, but this isn't exactly a great running team in Miami. And with the injuries to the offensive line, with the potential worry about Jalen Waddle playing or not playing, that takes a big dimension of the offense away for them. I think the Chargers, Justin Herbert outshines Tua here and wins this game at home in LA. This is also a tough spot for Miami. They lost, they played San Francisco on the West Coast, lost that game. They've got to play the Chargers in a big spot for the Chargers. They got to win this game, right? If they want to make the playoffs, they have to win this game. And then next week they play Buffalo. So there is going to be, a lot of thought about, well, that's going to be a big game in the AFC East next week too. So huge spot for the Dolphins here in this game. And our final matchup is, of course, the New England Patriots traveling on the road to Arizona. They're only laying 1 point, which does seem a little odd. I thought that the Patriots would get a little bit more respect, but this is again, everyone's going to pick the Cardinals. And it's because the Cardinals are a prettier team to watch. But like the Patriots, I understand they look ugly and they don't play well against great teams. I don't know if you guys have watched the Cardinals this year. The Cardinals are not a very good team. Okay, they've got Kyler Murray, they've got DeAndre Hopkins, they've got Marquise Brown. That's all they've got. I think Bill Belichick against Cliff Kingsbury is a huge mismatch, especially in a primetime spot coming off 10 days rest for New England. I think this defense of Arizona is not one of the premier units in the league. So I think New England can move the ball more than they usually do against the average opponent. I think they can run the ball a bit. I think they can throw the ball a bit. And I think New England should win this game. I'd be pretty disappointed if they lost this game, considering this is a huge game for them to win if they want a chance of making the playoffs. You look at their defensive front, they've got some athletes, Josh Uche and Matt Judon. I think they did a better job of containing Josh Allen than they typically have in the past. I think that carries over to Kyler Murray. I think they make life difficult on Kyler Murray in this game defensively. I think their defense has a lot to prove. But the offense, I just think I like games with New England where their offense can actually play, is going to look better than they do most weeks. Because I think they're going to look better against Arizona than they actually are. So that's when you take New England this year, it seems like. Because their offense won't be completely exposed like it was against Buffalo. Because they're not completely outcoached and completely outmanned on that side of the ball. So I think Mac has a bounce back. I think the Patriots have a bounce back. I think they win. And I'll say it will be pretty close. I'm going to say 23-17. New England, 20 maybe. 23-20, 23-17, something like that. I'm going to go with New England in the game on Monday night. Need this win to get to the playoffs. I think they come through. Belichick's got to win this game. A lot of people angry at Belichick in the Boston media. I think he gets back on track. All right. Those are my picks. Straight up and versus the spread. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to Gronk spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And I have to give a quick shout out to my guys at Underdog Fantasy. Link in the description. Sign up using the promo code BLV. Double your first deposit up to $100 at Underdog Fantasy. If you haven't signed up, I don't know what you're doing. I got the hat in the background. It's my favorite fantasy platform if you guys haven't heard. And right now, why I'm plugging Underdog is because they've released Playoff Best Ball. Playoff Best Ball is now available. $10 entry to their wild card tournament. $100K in prizes, guys. $10 entry, $100K in prizes. Sign up using the promo code BLV. Check it out, guys. Underdog Fantasy. Link in the description. Also, check out the Vrabel video. Please. Thank you. Peace.